What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zebec today, ZBCN. It is the 10th day of January, and here we are sitting at about $0.003 with roughly 6.5 hours left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. So recently, Zebec pulled back a little bit. Now we're back up to this area that we've been consolidating at really for the past 5 days or so. From a low to a high, we pulled all the way down to our golden ratio zone. We had a front-running bit of behavior there where you reached for the golden ratio, but you didn't actually hit it. That implies that there's a lack of selling pressure because people know better, or there's a increased buying pressure because people know better. Whatever it might be, it's a very bullish implication, and likely there will be bullish results from this. I think it's pretty clear here that Zebec is, and there's these Adam and Eve patterns are popping up all over the place, but this looks like a true Adam and Eve. It's literally textbook perfect. It's awesome, and it is a triple bottom as well. Triple bottoms, double bottoms are very powerful. Triple bottoms are more so. Adam and Eve patterns, very powerful patterns. The breakout move here would take you, should take you, all the way up to about $0.006. Which is kind of crazy. I mean, like, really to think about, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but technically, once we get above this level here, once you get above $0.0362, once you get above there, likely you are going to continue to grow all the way up to this area before you really start to consolidate any serious amount. I mean, virtually you're making the same move from this low that you made from here all the way up to this high. It's kind of crazy. Now, this is the part where I don't know how to say this, where maybe I hurt your feelings. Measure moves are just that. They're just measure moves. They're ideas. They're not requirements. We get above here. The idea is that we go all the way up here. But you could go past it. You could fall short of it. You know, anything can happen. So don't have your hearts completely set on this. But with this setup, I think it's more than acceptable to consider 0.006 as a target, where we've considered lower targets, 0.004 and 0.044 and stuff around there as targets before. I think it's actually completely appropriate to consider this as a target. We look at this from a high all the way back in May, the very end of May there, to the low here in July. And I mean, that takes us to our 786, 886 area. When you've interacted with the golden ratio several times like you have, like throughout this whole consolidation phase, this zone, the golden ratio zone that normally holds resistance, it doesn't hold as much resistance or significance now because you've already been through it a couple of times. It's very possible that we do just go up to the 786, 886 area. And that, at this point in time, to me is more significant because it directly correlates with the highs of this overall range. And it lines up with the measure move. I mean, it's a very possible outcome that we could see that. Before that, though, you know, there is this level. Again, this is the level that we have to break above. This is technically where the break of the Adam and Eve comes in, is right there in what I call the nipple, right? You've got your Adam and your Eve. That center point that separates Adam from Eve, that's the point at which determines if you're breaking out or not, right? It's like the neckline on a inverse head and shoulders pattern, or a trend line on a channel, on a wedge, whatever. That's the point at which we break out of this lower consolidation phase. So when we get above 0.036, the idea is that we go up to 0.006. From here, being that we're being held down by resistance, maybe we do just pump a little bit up to this area, consolidate some more, and then end of month, we start to rally going into here, or it could even be February, right? The way I have it drawn like this, that would be January 31st by the time you're here. Maybe it takes more time. It's not just because we break above this and we're assuming that this is an Adam and Eve, and I am assuming that, and that assumption takes us here, doesn't mean that we have to teleport there overnight once we get above there, right? Maybe we do. We know Zebec can move very fast whenever it wants to. We know that has that possibility. However, I would think more so that when we break above this point, there might be an initial surge. We might consolidate and continue to rally, but it's all going to be part of the same move. There will be phases of this move, but it'll all be part of the same move. Like here, undoubtedly, this was the strongest part of the move. But there were phases of this move. And really, this is all one move together, from a low to a high. Very powerful move. But there were phases where you went up, you went down, you went up, you consolidated, and then you continued to move up, right? It was all part of the same move. That's the thought I'm trying to offer here, is it doesn't have to happen overnight. It can take time, but it likely will happen. I think at some point we will probably work our way up to those points of resistance and then consolidate from there. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, the RSI has bullish implications, but it's rather neutral right now, as is your price. Stochastics have bullish implications, and the MACD has bullish divergence. A little bit, technically. I don't know if I'd call it that. It's maybe the MACD looks bullish here, I'm not going to lie. But we're moving sideways, we're choppy. I don't know if I'd weigh on that too much. But it does look bullish, but whatever. 4 hour time frame here, the RSI is bullish. Getting overbought and not getting oversold is a good thing. Bouncing off the 40 is a good thing. Getting right back above the 50, living above the 50 predominantly, not living below the 50 at all really. It's a very good thing. We just don't want to see roll over here. Going below this low would be a problem. Let's just say that. It would be a problem. It's okay if we go lower from here. How much lower do we go? I don't know, but I would doubt that we go below that low there. MACD is crossed red, kind of inconsistent with this choppy sideways stuff, right? I mean, it's a little less reliable maybe. The stochastics are bullishly implied. The RSI is bullishly implied. Regardless of any downside that we may or may not see, all of these indicators allow for some downside to still look bullish. Let me rephrase that. Or let me say that again just to make sure it's clear. They allow for that to happen. It's not a requirement. We don't have to go down to be bullish. We look bullish here, and if we go down, these indicators allow for that. We would still look bullish there. But if you're holding your breath over the downside, you might miss your chance to get in before we start to move up. The call overall, regardless of any of the short-term mishaps that may or may not happen, is that we will continue to move higher from here. Did we look at the 4? We looked at this. Yes, the daily time frame. Rejecting the overbought zone, never a good thing. Finding support at the 60 area, that's a good thing. Finding support where you found resistance before, that's a good thing. I mean, look at all the times that we found resistance, literally like right here where we found support. Resistance, 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 support, resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance. It's a very clear area that Zebec respects on its RSI. Stochastics have bullish implications in the MACD. Crossing above the 0, the orange line is about to cross above the 0 today or tomorrow. That's very bullish indeed, and I would expect that the coming week is going to be spectacular. So if I'm wrong, and I can be wrong, you know, we can move to the downside, but if I'm wrong, I think it's going to be that I'm underestimating how fast we will move up to this area. I'm not calling for it to be a straight shot up. I would think that we're either there maybe at the very ass end of January or sometime likely in February. But if I'm wrong, I would think that it's only because it happens sooner, not later than expected. We're clearly at a point here where we found resistance once, we found resistance twice, we found resistance a third time, but notice how here we didn't just move down like we did these times. Here, we're doing things a little bit differently. You do things differently, you probably will get different results. Okay. And then breaking out of this zone will only help us in our endeavor of breaking out of the overall Adam and Eve pattern, which helps us in our endeavor to really get to new all-time highs, probably in February. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.